位记者朋友，大家下午好，欢迎出席外交部。
Good afternoon. Welcome to today's press conference. First, following the decision to manage COVID-19 with measures against Class B infectious diseases starting from January, to further facilitate exchange and cooperation between China and other countries, the Chinese government has decided that from the 15th, visas that were issued before COVID and are still valid will be reactivated. The review and issuance of tourist visas and other types of visas will be resumed, and the visa-free entry for several places will be resumed. Now questions, please.
Reuters understands that President Xi will travel to Moscow as soon as next week to meet with President Putin. Will President Xi also engage President Zelensky, either by call or by visiting? What could China's role in any peace settlement between Ukraine and Russia be? Thank you.
路透社了解到，习主席将最早于下周访问俄罗斯，与普京总统会面。那么，请问习主席是否有与泽连斯基总统接触的计划？无论是打电话还是前往乌克兰，中方对于俄乌之间的和平倡议还有什么样的立场
Could you repeat your question, please?
Reuters understands that President Xi will travel to Moscow as soon as next week to meet with President Putin. Will President Xi also engage President Zelensky, either by call or by visiting? And what could China's role in any peace settlement between Ukraine and Russia be?
路透社了解到，习主席将最早于下周访问俄罗斯，会见普京总统。请问习主席是否有与泽连斯基总统接触的计划？无论是打电话还是访问乌克兰。那么，请问中国在俄乌之间和谈方面将会扮演怎样的角色？
我想分3个层次啊。
I would like to answer the question in 3 aspects. First, China and Russia at all levels maintain communication. Regarding what you asked, I have no information to offer at the moment. Second, China's position on the Ukraine crisis is consistent and clear. We maintain communication with all parties. Third, on international and regional hotspot issues, China is committed to a foreign policy principle of upholding world peace and promoting common development. Based on the merits of the matters themselves, we are committed to facilitating peaceful settlement of crisis through diplomatic negotiation. It is the same on the Ukraine issue. Not long ago, we issued a position paper on the political settlement of the Ukraine crisis and put forward 12 proposals, including respecting sovereignty, abandoning cold war mentality, ceasing hostilities, starting peace talks, and stop unilateral sanctions. The call is promoting peace talks. On this basis, we are ready to work with the world to play a constructive role for the political settlement of the Ukraine crisis. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人。总台华语环球节目中心记者提问：我们看到在中方发布了沙伊北京对话的消息。
CCTV. After China released information on the Saudi Arabia-Iran talks in Beijing, countries including Egypt, Turkey, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Oman, Lebanon, Bahrain, and the UAE in the Middle East have welcomed the talks and important outcomes which have been hailed as a major win for easing tensions in the Gulf region. The spokesperson for UN Secretary General Guterres in a note welcomed the agreement reached between Iran and Saudi Arabia to resume diplomatic ties and expressed appreciation to China for promoting dialogue. Secretary General of the League of Arab States praised the agreement, saying it would contribute to regional stability, and Secretary General of the OIC expressed the hope that this step would give a new momentum to cooperation among OIC member states. With some comment on how will China contribute to the implementation of the agreement? In response to President Xi Jinping's initiative of China's support for developing good neighborly relations between Saudi Arabia and Iran, the delegations from the two countries held talks in Beijing, which yielded important outcomes. An agreement was reached and a joint tripartite statement was released. Saudi Arabia and Iran agreed to resume diplomatic ties. The three countries expressed their keenness to exert all efforts toward enhancing regional and international peace and security. As noted by Director Wang, Wang Yi, it is a victory for dialogue and a victory for peace. The international acclaim fully demonstrates that lasting peace, stability, and security is the shared aspiration of regional countries, and that upholding strategic independence and seeking solidarity and cooperation has strong backing from people worldwide. The talks in Beijing have turned a new page in Saudi Arabia-Iran relations, paved the way for realizing peace and stability in the Middle East, and set a fine example for resolving problems and disagreements through dialogue and consultation. No matter how complex the issues are or how thorny the challenges may be, equal-footed dialogue on the basis of mutual respect will lead to a mutually acceptable solution. The Middle East belongs to the people of the region. Its future must be determined by the people of Middle East countries. Countries in the region have China's support to carry forward the spirit of independence, strengthen solidarity and coordination, and join hands to make the Middle East more peaceful, stable, and prosperous. The Beijing Dialogue is a robust and successful effort to put the Global Security Initiative, the GSI, into practice. Tactics like bolster one and bash the other, or divide and rule, or block confrontation have never been proven to work on security issues. The viable approach to realize lasting peace and security in the region and in the world is to uphold the vision of common, comprehensive, cooperative, and sustainable security, pursue the long-term objective of building a security community, and follow a new path to security featuring dialogue over confrontation, partnership over alliance, and win-win over zero-sum. State Council Foreign Minister Qin Gang noted that China will be a promoter of security and stability, partner for development and prosperity, and a supporter of the Middle East development through solidarity. We'll continue to contribute China's insights and proposals to realizing peace and tranquility in the Middle East and play China's role as a responsible major country in this process. We hope more and more countries will join us in implementing the GSI to realize enduring peace and universal security. Next one, please.
Good afternoon. Question from AFP. The US President Joe Biden and the leaders of Australia and the United Kingdom yesterday announced that Australia will buy nuclear-powered submarines from the US. This agreement was announced among concern about China's influence in the Asia-Pacific region. Do you have any comment to this agreement between these three countries? Thank you.
China has repeatedly stressed that the AUKUS pact and the three countries' efforts to advance cooperation on nuclear submarine and other cutting-edge military technology is typical Cold War mentality. It will only spur arms race and undermine the international non-proliferation regime and harm regional peace and stability. Peace-loving countries have expressed their serious concern and opposition. The three countries' latest joint statement shows that in pursuit of geopolitical selfish interests, the three countries can disregard the international community's concerns, and they are traveling further down the dangerous and wrong path. Their cooperation concerns the transfer from nuclear weapon states to non-nuclear weapon states of a large amount of weapons-grade uranium. It constitutes grave nuclear proliferation risks and violates the purposes and object of the NPT. They claim to adhere to the highest standard on nuclear non-proliferation that is just aimed to hoodwink the public. In reality, they are coercing the IAEA Secretariat to make safeguards exemption arrangements, which will seriously harm the agency's authority. We are firmly against it. Nuclear submarine cooperation concerns the integrity, effect, and authority of the NPT, and the safeguards issues concern the interests of all member states, and therefore should be jointly discussed and decided through transparent, open, inclusive intergovernmental process. Pending a consensus, the three countries must not engage in nuclear submarine cooperation, and the IAEA Secretariat should not sign any safeguards arrangement with the three countries. The Asia-Pacific is the most vibrant and robust regions in the world, and we should cherish that. We urge the three countries to listen to the call of the international community and regional countries, abandon the obsolete Cold War zero-sum mentality and narrow-minded geopolitical mindset, fulfill their international obligations, and refrain from undermining regional and world peace and stability. Next one, please.
NBC. China has announced 60 countries that allow group tours, but Korea is off the list. Coincidentally, the US and Japan, Germany and Australia, which have recently region incomplete, have also been excluded from the list of allowed countries. Especially as we all know, Korea is the place where Chinese people often come to enjoy group tours. Today, China announced that it will resume issuing foreign visas from tomorrow. It seems that scientific quarantine is no longer a means of restricting visa issuance or preventing group tourism. For this reason, there are some news that group tourism is being prevented for political and diplomatic reasons, not for quarantine. What is China's opinion on this?
韩国文化广播公司，中国已经宣布对60个国家开放团体旅游，但是韩国不在名单上。巧合的是，美国、日本、德国、澳大利亚等与中国处于地缘政治冲突的国家也被排除在外。众所周知，韩国是中国人常来享受跟团游的地方。那么今天中国宣布从明天起恢复签发外国签证。那在我们看来，科学检疫不再是限制签证签发或者是组织团队游的手段，因此有一些媒体报道称，团队旅游是出于政治和外交原因，而不是为了检疫。中方对此持何立场？
前段时间我们在部分国家
Earlier, on a text-based basis, we have resumed group tours to some countries, and things have been going well. Recently, so China decided to revive outbound group tours to more countries from March the 15th and create more favorable conditions for outbound travel. Competent authorities will continue to guide businesses to make arrangements and implement the measures. We hope tourists can self-monitor for COVID before departure, take good care of themselves, and strictly abide by COVID requirements of China and their destinations so that they can enjoy their trips without any unpleasantry or worry about their health or safety. Regarding the specific countries, I will refer you to the competent authorities' information. I would like to say that since the January 8th measures were announced, there has been an increase in the number and the flights. So we have optimized some measures, including pre-departure testing, and allowed the replacement of PCR test with antigen test. And it has been well implemented, and the risks are under control. We'll continue to, on the basis of science-based assessment, in light of the latest circumstances, make better arrangements for the safe, healthy, and orderly exchange of international travelers. Next one, please.
A question from Bloomberg. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said yesterday that given that the NPC and the two sessions have come to an end and Chinese government is returning to normal operations, that he and the U.S. would expect President Biden and Xi to have a call in the coming weeks. Can the Foreign Ministry confirm that there is preparations in place for a call between Presidents Biden and Xi? And if so, can you give any more details about that? Thank you.
彭博社提问，美国国家安全事务助理沙利文昨天表示，随着中国两会结束，中国政府恢复正常的工作。那么他本人和美国政府都期待在未来几周，习主席和拜登总统将会通话。请问您是否可以证实中方正在筹备相关的通话？如果是的话，能否提供更多的细节？
中美之间
China and the U.S. maintain necessary communication. We believe that the value and significance of such communication is to enhance mutual understanding and manage differences, not for communication's sake. We hope the U.S. will show sincerity and take concrete actions to bring relations with China back to the right track.
下一个问题。
Next one, please.
中国日报3月11日是日本大地震及
China Daily, March the 11th marked the 12th anniversary of the Fukushima nuclear disaster in Japan. Japanese people have protested against the Japanese government at TEPCO's ocean discharge plan. Recently, head of Japan's Social Democratic Party, Mizuho Fukushima, said that 12 years on, the impact is still going on and the water cannot be released into the sea. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said that the discharge cannot be delayed, repeating the pledge that it will not be carried out without understanding of the stakeholders. Do you have any comments? 12 years on, the Japanese government, instead of learning a painful lesson from the Fukushima nuclear power plant accident, is set on pushing through the ocean discharge plan in an attempt to shift the risk of nuclear pollution onto all humanity. This is irresponsible and runs counter to Japan's international obligations. There's more than 1.3 million tons of nuclear contaminated water in Fukushima, which contains over 60 radionuclides. Once released into the sea, it will be carried through the ocean to all parts of the world in a few decades, causing immeasurable harm to marine environment and people's health. China and Russia posed to Japan a joint list of technical questions twice, but haven't received adequate and convincing response from Japan. A New Zealand sociologist from the University of Auckland noted that Pacific peoples have a fundamental right to a clean, healthy and sustainable environment. By proceeding with this plan to discharge the wastewater into the ocean, the Japanese government are showing direct disregard for the sovereignty and self-determination of Pacific peoples. The Pacific Islands Forum noted that TEPCO's data cannot be used as a basis for the ocean discharge and urged Japan to delay the plan. As Japanese media commented, Japan has chosen to take a shortcut that puts economic interest first, without enough science-based and professional discussion or full communication with the people. Japan's National Federation of Fisheries Cooperatives strongly criticized the government's violation of its pledge and disregard for fishermen's interest. Rather than seeking public understanding, the Japanese government has hastily resumed nuclear power and accelerated construction of facilities for ocean discharge. Such rough and arbitrary way has led to greater public concern. A poll shows that more than 43% of the Japanese people are against the ocean discharge plan, and over 90% believe that it will lead to negative impacts. If the Japanese government can't convince its own people, how can it expect trust from the world? The Japanese government keeps repeating the pledge that ocean discharge will not be carried out with understanding of stakeholders, but it has turned a deaf ear to the legitimate concerns of the world and the Japanese people and approved the ocean discharge plan, declaring that it will start in spring-summer and cannot be delayed. Such inconsistent actions show no sincerity in addressing the concerns of stakeholders. The disposal of the nuclear contaminated water is not Japan's domestic affair, but an important matter that bears on the global marine environment and public health. We urge Japan to take seriously the legitimate concerns of all parties, live up to its obligations, place itself under the strict monitoring of the international community, dispose of the nuclear contaminated water in a science-based, open, transparent and safe manner, including assessing alternatives. It must not start discharging the water before reaching consensus through full consultation with neighboring countries and other stakeholders, as well as relevant international agencies. Next one, please.
Thank you. Another question from Reuters. Marcello Vinci, a young Italian citizen living in China, has been found dead in unclear circumstances. Could the Foreign Ministry provide any information about this? Thank you.
请记者再重复一遍问题。
Marcello Vinci, a young Italian citizen living in China, has been found dead in unclear circumstances. Could the Foreign Ministry provide any information about this?
路透社提问：意大利公民 Marcello Vinci 在中国，在不明的情况下发现身亡，请问中方是否可以提供更多细节？
我不掌握。
I'm not aware of this situation. Next one, please.
环球时报记者提问：据报道，美韩13日至23日举行。
Global Times, the US and the AUKUS will conduct the longest and largest scale Freedom Shield joint military drill from March the 13th to the 23rd to strengthen defense posture in response to the DPRK's nuclear threat. The DPRK has demanded that they stop provocations and joint military drills. Do you have any comments? We are gravely concerned over the developments on the US ROK military exercises. The crux of the current Korean Peninsula situation is clear. The main reason is that the parties concerned have refused to respond to the denuclearization measures taken by the DPRK and instead stepped up pressure and deterrence against the DPRK. The current situation on the peninsula is highly complex and sensitive. All parties concerned should remain restrained and do more things that are conducive to peace and stability on the peninsula. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人深圳卫视执新闻记者提问。据报道，诺贝尔文学奖得主、日本著名作家大江健。
Shenzhen TV. Nobel laureate Japanese author Kenzaburo Oe passed away on March the 3rd. Mr. Oe was a lifelong critic of militarism and advocate of world peace. Do you have any comment? We are deeply saddened by his passing and send our sympathy to his families. Mr. Oe is a renowned author. Many of his works reflect the conscience of Japan. They depict reflection on aggression, defense of objective historical outlook and pursuit of peace. Mr. Oe visited China many times and contributed to people-to-people friendship and our two countries' cultural exchange. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人。总台央视记者提问：据报道，落实南海各方行为宣言第3。
CCTV, the 38th meeting of the ASEAN-China Joint Working Group on the implementation of the DOC was held in Indonesia from March the 8th to the 10th. Could you share what progress was made at the meeting? The meeting held in Jakarta, Indonesia, China and ASEAN countries continued to advance consultation on the text of the COC and had in-depth exchange of views on the implementation of the DOC and maritime practical cooperation. They agreed to carry out multiple practical cooperation projects in such fields as marine scientific research, environmental protection, and search and rescue operation. Step up dialogue and communication, deepen mutually beneficial cooperation, and jointly uphold peace and stability in the South China Sea. They also agreed on the working plan for this year and agreed to host rounds of ASEAN-China senior officials and joint working group meetings on the implementation of the DOC within the year and work for greater progress in COC consultation. Next one, please.
英国广播公司，我们现在知道，从这个星期，中国还有会办那个旅游的签证。
BBC. What visas? What tourist visas will China issue? And secondly,
问题当中啊，实际上已经涉及到你提的这个问题。
In my previous answer, I have actually answered the question. China has optimized pre-entry COVID tests, and these measures have been in smooth implementation. On the basis of science assessment, China is ready to make optimized arrangement for tourist entry into China. And as to your question of whether China will open more flights to China, I would refer you to competent Chinese authorities. Next one, please. Anything else?
没有的话，今天的记者会到此结束，谢谢大家。
That's the end for today. Thank you.